Xpiritualism. Let's talk about one of my favorite niches, popularized post-pandemic. The music uses a lot of layered phase distortion-like textures that make it sound glitched out, just like the art. The art reminds me like a ketamine whippet gangbang conglomeration using compression in a way that compression is normally not supposed to be used, because it's normally removing contrast and making things sound the same, but here it's often used to make things stand out. This is a dog water explanation, but it's what the aesthetic gives me in a very surface level introductory way. Let's talk about it more. Old websites. This is where a lot of the look comes from. Old HTML coded websites that wanted to present a style that fit whatever reason the website was made for. And they used a lot of bold approaches, highly contrasted colors, floating text that moved and were interactive. Things like that felt like a true black hole just sucking you in. And this is an obvious point. I think anyone who's seen an old website and has seen some art like this could say it goes without saying. Lots of these websites use dark, starry backgrounds that set the stage for this kind of imagery. Perhaps this is why the name sounds so close to spiritualism. The holographic space look, it'll always be cool. Back in the day, they had CRT monitors that they only displayed two colors, black and green. Watch this man take a magnet to one of them and tell me this isn't fitting of the aesthetic. This is really just me connecting the dots in this starry constellation spiritual aesthetic that made it what it is. And at the end of the day, it's a computer and internet style, so it seems kind of obvious. There's a reason lots use the word cursed web. I like cursed web, but to me it takes a different, more realistic, like old websites angle. And I've heard a few other names people use describing the aesthetic that to me is obviously spiritualism, and I don't want to say them here because I don't want to, validate that. Aesthetics in general, when talked about, especially on Aesthetics Wiki, they're overly convoluted. I don't like going in that direction. I think I've made enough of a point to say technology and internet is rooted in this aesthetic. I've heard it a couple ways, but I think we're going to stick with Yabujin's point for now. Yabujin gets credited a lot for this, and you could tell exactly why if you look at this for more than 1 second. His music, his cover arts, they changed over time. I couldn't find as much information as what I wanted to, but I know that he went under the name Nomad, and some of these tracks were re-uploaded with this cover art. Thanks a lot to the archive channels. It started as a YouTube battle rap series called Bleach Dreamers, and I didn't know about them then. I was too busy listening to Lil Peep and other people in the cloud rap scene. But the Yabujin that comes to mind today for most people, I'd imagine, is more songs like I Don't Want To Go, okay? That's not just me pronouncing it weird, that's how it's spelled. Or the first time I bumped into him, they might think the song Chalice of Mine. It was in my YouTube recommended, and it screams internet music, old SoundCloud. It's twisted with him at this point seemingly getting better at mixing, finding that sound in the style that he was doing. From the samples to the vocal mix, he would take Hobby Lobby-like melodies and vocals that were mixed like they were played on the shitty Hobby Lobby soundtrack speakers, and it sounded great. And he was leaving his mark and his style on the internet and the world. Single-handedly putting Louisiana, what the fuck, Lithuania on the map. So when looking at some of his evolution, it's clear to me that he wasn't just borrowing from aesthetics, they were borrowing from him. And together they changed how normies like me would interpret something like experientialism today. I've seen it theorized that this is part of why he keeps a low profile nowadays. He didn't want to ruin a cool thing. And I don't think he did it at all. But there's Roblox kids and other brain rot iPad babies. They have begun to leave their snotty-nosed, Cheeto-dusted finger slime trail on this shiny aesthetic that made their brain go bruh. I'm one of them making this video. Sadly, I gotta admit that. Just look at my Roblox avatar. I don't want to end this segment on that negative note. Let's be happy Yabujin did his thing. Let's not be sad that it ended. Let's be happy that we got this set off. Blade, or I've heard it referred to as Bladey, is another name that comes up a lot when you get to talking about this. I'm sure he's got some bangers that I don't know about, but in this moment, I don't have any of his songs saved, and I don't think I'm educated enough to speak on what he's doing. But I do have to say, I think his music's really good, and he's helping bring the music scene in the direction I like seeing it go, and I completely see why he's mentioned when Xpiritualism comes up. And while I'm on the topic of music still, it's worth mentioning how much jump style and hard style and xpiritualism have borrowed from each other over the years. I think a big part of that comes from just connections, friendships across both niches, but I think another part was just simply they aimed for having a cool nostalgic style that fit the vibe of what they were doing. The way jump style layered drums and that iconic hard-hitting bass distorted layered kick, you know what I'm talking about. You hear it, it makes sense that the face of this in-your-face style needs an in-your-face aesthetic to go with it. And motifs like that exist outside of jump style and other things that you could say were inspired by xpiritualism. Jump style and hard style is not what this video is going to be about, and the examples that I got off the top of the head without doing any more research or anything are loose and just things I've heard. So yeah, I'm just gonna glaze over that and move on and gaslight y'all into thinking, oh, it's 1 + 1, you wrangled, sawed off fuck. But in all seriousness, I did want to say, go follow Hardstyle 2001 on Instagram. They repost jump style dancers, hardstyle music, xpiritualism edits, and all of those cross into each other. Lots of cool things to see there. Alright, we had to do it. Let's go back and talk about Aesthetics Wiki. I didn't love nor wanted to read word for word the top description. There's no harm or foul done here. I just think in general Aesthetic Wiki's top summaries are a little bit not good. They're not bad, it's just I don't think really gives you the flavor for what's going on, like how I'm trying to convey in this video. However, I did want to highlight whoever wrote this, crediting Third World Elite on TikTok for coming up with the term that we use via hashtag xspiritualism. Looking at the related aesthetics section, like I said, I think this is kind of the reason why I said I think it gets really convoluted and doesn't really need to be like that, though I see why it is, with people borrowing from each other and the nature of how these things come to be. But I think it's a little much. So let's quickly turn our heads to key values and motifs. It's kind of funny to me that one of the values said discomforts and another one said comfort. That's just how it goes, man. It's like the reality of bipolar or some shit, man. Going down to where I wrote about visuals, you can see my name. I'm part of the shit, you guys, I'm telling y'all. The video game section for all these aesthetics are always kind of funny to me. Yes, I'll see many edits using footage from these games that are edited in those styles, but do the game themselves scream the aesthetic? Admittedly, yeah, for the games that I've seen on this site, you know, they do scream the aesthetic in certain levels and certain parts, but the whole game in general, no. The music section had many names that I didn't recognize, but they're all clickable, they're all like highlighted, so if you click them, it immediately takes you to their SoundCloud and I can start listening to their top songs in less than seconds. Given how broad of an angle they gave some of these artists to make this list, I feel that they're missing a few, and they're probably missing way more that I just don't know about. Still, I think it's a good list, lots of cool talent on here. And I thought that the gallery was going to be the fun part, dude, but when I scrolled down to the images, I had already seen all of them, unfortunately. I know I talked about stars for like 1 second, but I don't think I can wrap this video up without mentioning some of the imagery and spiritual themes surrounding this aesthetic. Astral projection, out-of-body experiences. These are a huge motif, as if you're getting sucked into a higher plane of internet and technological spirit demons, giving you a hellish fever visions of times lost, memories distorted. It's like my soul is paying its crimes in purgatory from the lost form communities, blogs, souls that I could have bonded with, but due to forms dying and me sleeping on it and choices, they were begging me to just get into it, but I didn't. And now I'm making this video the code. I'm not picking up my Bible or preaching about God. I'm digging through old internet archives aimlessly, like a missionary for nostalgia and technological advancements, because those are the things that save my soul. One day, just as compression compresses these JPEGs, these .wav files, feet into unrecognizable obscurity and a beautiful, broken, distinct look that I fell in love with, I too will be compressed. I too will be reduced down till I'm nothing but a void, reincarnated into my original form. Dust to dust, more like ones to zeros.